Hi, in this video, we're going to ask ourselves what music is. And we're going to talk about the purpose of music, the functions of music. What is music for? Let's start with a simple activity. Let me ask you, when was the last time you listened to music? Can you remember listening to music yesterday or even today? When did you listen to that music and where was that music coming from? Take a moment to think about this. You can stop the video at any time. And let's continue. You probably realized that we are surrounded by music every day. We might listen to music voluntarily, maybe using our headphones, maybe using our computers, but many of those musical messages we receive are simply there without us even wanting to. We might have gone to a concert, we might have listened to music on our phones, but even if we just went shopping, we were probably listening to music in the supermarket, in the shopping mall, in the streets. We might have listened to music on commercials, on TV, on the radio. So, do you think that this makes it easier to actually define music? Probably not. It's almost like trying to ask fish to comment on what water is. We're immersed in music, we're surrounded by music, so that really makes it even more difficult to try to arrive at a possible definition of music. Let's start by listening to some musical excerpts. I'm going to ask you to listen to a first musical fragment, and I want to ask you if you think this is music and why.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
So, with this first musical fragment, you might have said that you thought it was music before you heard someone singing a melody. There was a voice delivering this beautiful melody. However, this is actually a Muslim call to prayer, an adhan. So within Islamic culture, this would not be categorized as music. Music, let's say, belongs to a non-religious, a secular domain, so it would be completely separate from prayer. So context perhaps has something to do, something important to do with defining something as music. Let's listen to a second fragment. Would you categorize this as music? Well, I don't know what conclusion you came to. Perhaps you said that this was simply noise. Perhaps you identified the source of these sounds, a railway station, trains. So you might well have said that this was simply noise. However, in this case, this actually belongs to a piece of music called Étude au chemin de fer, railway study, composed by a French composer called Pierre Schaeffer. This belongs to what we call musique concrète, concrete music. This was something very original, a new trend in the 20th century, in the second half of the 20th century. Concrete music was music where recorded sounds, and many of these sounds were originally noises, okay? These were the raw materials, the ingredients that composed this piece of music. So maybe the intention of the composer, the way in which those sounds, even if they are originally noise, the way in which these sounds are manipulated has something to do with music. There are three elements that Christopher Small considers important when defining music. American musicologist Christopher Small considered that music is human behavior. Okay, probably you have not heard dogs or cats compose music. Okay, it's organized sound. Okay, the raw material is sound, but it is organized, it is manipulated in a certain way with a certain intention. There is an aim. There is a person behind this that has a certain objective when combining these sounds. Okay, so maybe those are important elements when we try to define music. And I wanted to quote Christopher Small here when he says that music is too important to be left to the musicians alone. So music is such an important part of human existence that we should all take our time to explore this language. So that's one of the reasons why, even if you're not a musician, I'm very happy that you're actually watching this video and taking your time to reflect on these issues. Some more definitions of music. I'm just going to cover two important definitions here. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, for example, this French philosopher, said that music is the art of combining the sounds in a manner pleasing to the ear. Again, we have organized sound here, combining sound. John Blacking said that music is humanly organized sound. Again, human behavior, and not just sound, but sound which is manipulated, organized in a certain way with a certain objective. Let's go on to our second question here. What is the purpose of music? What are the possible functions of music? What is music for? So I'm going to start with this listening task. I'm going to ask you to listen to a short musical fragment. And I want you to reflect on these questions. What emotions would you say are portrayed in the in this excerpt? What is the effect of the music on you? How does this music make you feel? And a second question, what functions do you think this music plays? And I want you to think of at least two possible functions. Why was this music created? What was the intention behind this? Okay, so let me give you some context. Imagine you go shopping, imagine you go into this shopping mall, you go into an elevator, and you start listening to this piece of music. This is the famous elevator bossa nova by Benjamin Tissot. And it's an example of elevator music, which is also called Muzak. In fact, Muzak was one of the first companies that started creating this kind of music. And now it's become a term for this kind of background music. So the original function of this kind of music was to keep new passengers calm. Why am I saying new passengers? Well, when these lifts were invented, some people were not really enthusiastic about trying them. Okay, they were afraid. So why not create music that can help these customers relax and feel comfortable riding these new elevators? And of course, increase the use of the elevators. And perhaps you might have said, well, it also makes people feel more comfortable in this shopping environment, and it will make them more eager to keep on buying, okay? Keep on consuming. That might be one of the objectives. You might have also said entertainment. Well, I don't know if the ride is going to be really long, but if you're going to spend 1 minute in the elevator, you might as well be entertained by some pleasant music. So this has to do with some of these functions that I'm going to explain now, which were proposed by the anthropologist Alan Merriam in the 60s. The first function would be emotional expression. You might agree that music conveys certain emotions, certain feelings. We might even put music on because we want to be contaminated by the feelings of joy or perhaps the sadness inside a certain musical composition. Okay? We might release feelings when we sing, for example, and this happens even when we're very young. Even children might release their joy or sadness when singing. A second function is a little bit more complex. It's aesthetic enjoyment. It is as if music in some way, as occurs with other forms of art, reflects life's beauty in some way. So we connect with the beauty of nature, with the beauty of life through music. It's like contemplation through music. Of course, entertainment. Music is simply fun. And we might enjoy dancing to music, singing music, and having music on because it's simply entertaining. And that's a main function that music plays when we hear music on TV, for example. Another function is communication. This has a lot to do with emotional expression. But let me tell you something more about communication. There might be hidden meanings inside music. And this might have a lot to do with culture. So we might actually learn these hidden messages inside music. Imagine that I give you this very short musical message. Ta-da! What message did you get? You probably thought of something like surprise, the unexpected. So there is a hidden message inside this very short musical idea. Let me play another short idea on the piano. Did that ring a bell? You might have thought of circus, You might have thought of juggling, confusion. Again, this is something that we have learned. We might listen to this music in a different continent, in a different culture, not necessarily in Spain, in Europe, where I am right now. And you might have not associated this music with what I just said. Okay, so communication. Some more functions. Physical response. How many times have you put music on when you had to do something physical? Maybe you wanted to jog or to run or even to do housework, okay? And music helped you with your motivation. Or how many times have you felt the urge, the need to dance to a certain piece of music? So physical response is many times linked to certain kinds of music. Teaching social norms. Can music actually teach us certain things? How to behave, for example? Well, think about when you were in school, many of the songs you learned. For example, these popular children's songs and nursery rhymes such as "We say thank you, we say please, and excuse me when we sneeze. That's the way we do what's right. We have manners, we're polite." So if we sang a song to these lyrics, to these words, we're actually learning something, learning social norms. How we should behave, right? Music also helps with the continuity and stability of culture. Culture is transmitted from generation to generation through music. Literature, history is contained in music, and it helps preserve this knowledge, this content. Contribution to the integration of society. Music brings us together. Think about folk dancing, like the image we have here. In many cultures, music helps with bonding. The community takes part together by means of dancing to music. So I wonder how far you agree with these functions today. How far do these functions reflect the way that you live music in your everyday life? So there are so many functions, there are so many benefits linked to music that it's not surprising that even the ancient philosophers, such as Aristotle, said that music should not be studied just for one reason, but for many reasons. Music should be studied not for the sake of one, but of many benefits. This is why it's so important that music is studied in schools. Everybody should have the chance to explore, to live music, because it's an essential part of human existence. And we also know, thanks to research, that musical training is really important. It's crucial, it's critical in children's all-round holistic development. We can grow emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. It even helps with physical development. Okay? So this is why, even if we're not specialized music teachers, we should really be in touch with this marvelous art. Thank you very much for listening.